It was supposed to be just another quiet evening in a small southern town, until a black man pulled into a remote gas station, unaware that his presence had caught the wrong kind of attention. A group of men tied to a notorious racist clan watched from the shadows, mistaking him for an easy target. But what they didn't know was that this man wasn't just passing through. He was a decorated Delta Force commander, trained for the most dangerous missions in the world. Wearing plain clothes and driving a dusty pickup, he didn't look like someone who had led covert operations behind enemy lines. He came off calm, polite, even soft-spoken. But beneath that quiet surface was a man who had survived war zones, taken down high-value targets, and faced far worse than the kind of hate that hides behind masks and torches. The men made their move thinking they had the upper hand. They followed him, closing in, trying to intimidate him with whispers and threats. But what started as a plan to scare a stranger was about to turn into a night they'd never forget. The commander had seen this kind of hate before, overseas, on missions where the enemy underestimated him, and he knew exactly how to respond. As the sun dipped below the trees and the tension in the air grew thick, one wrong move was all it would take to trigger something none of them were ready for. And in that moment, the real story began. He didn't look back as he walked into the small convenience store, but he felt the eyes on him, watching, judging, waiting. The clerk behind the counter barely made eye contact. A cold silence filled the air, the kind that makes your skin crawl. The town hadn't changed much in decades, and for outsiders, especially someone like him, it still carried the weight of old anger and deep-rooted prejudice. Outside, the group gathered near their trucks, whispering and smirking. They were locals known for stirring trouble when they thought no one would stop them. They didn't recognize him, didn't know his past. They saw only what they wanted to see, a quiet man alone, outnumbered, easy to push around. What they didn't see were the years of training, the scars hidden beneath his jacket, the eyes that had stared down danger in the world's darkest places. As he stepped back outside, the sun was nearly gone, casting long shadows across the parking lot. One of the men tossed a beer can at his truck, grinning. The commander didn't flinch. He calmly looked at them, reading each face, already sizing up the situation. He knew something was coming. He had seen this pattern before, in villages, torn by war in hostile territory where people made the mistake of underestimating him, but he wasn't here to fight. He was here for something else, something personal. And as the men closed in, laughing and posturing, they had no idea they were about to cross a line they could never uncross. He leaned against his truck, eyes steady, heart calm. The lead man, taller than the rest and clearly used to calling the shots, stepped forward. His voice was low and mocking. "You lost, boy?" The others laughed, feeding off each other's hate like it was fuel. But the commander didn't speak. He just studied them, one by one, noting their body language, their stance, their nervous habits. Every move they made told him something. These weren't hardened fighters. They were men who had lived their whole lives thinking they could get away with anything. What they didn't know was that he wasn't lost. He was here for a reason. A friend, an old teammate, had gone missing nearby under suspicious circumstances. The last message he'd received was short, frantic, and ended with a name. The town they now stood in. Something was going on, and he'd come quietly to look into it. But now it seemed trouble had found him first. Inside the store, the clerk peeked out through the window, eyes wide with fear. He knew those men. Everyone in town did. And now he was watching them mess with someone different, someone they didn't understand. He reached for his phone, hesitated, then set it down. In this town, calling the law sometimes made things worse. Back outside, the commander pushed off the truck slowly. The air was thick now, not just with tension, but with a strange silence, as if the night itself was holding its breath. Something was coming, and nobody could stop it now. The leader of the group stepped even closer now, just a few feet away. His voice dropped lower like he was trying to intimidate, but there was a slight tremble beneath the bravado. "I asked you a question," he said. "You don't belong here." The commander tilted his head slightly, finally speaking, calm and measured. "I go where I need to." There was no anger in his voice, just fact. That response didn't sit well. One of the younger men behind the leader shifted, pulling something from his pocket, a chain, maybe a knife. It didn't matter. The commander saw it all. He had already mapped out every possible reaction, every movement they might make. He wasn't here to cause a scene, but he wasn't about to back down either. Not with his friend missing, not with this kind of hate staring him in the face. From the edge of the gas station lot, an old pickup rumbled to life and backed away fast. Someone who'd seen enough. The clerk disappeared behind the counter. The men in front of him didn't notice. They were too locked into their own moment, too confident in their numbers. Then one of them made a move. Quick, aggressive. The kind of mistake that came from ego, not strategy. The commander reacted without hesitation, sidestepping, hand raised, calm, but ready. And just like that, the game changed. They realized he wasn't just some passerby. He moved like someone who'd seen real violence, someone who didn't bluff. The silence broke, and chaos was seconds away. Just as the first man lunged, the commander grabbed his arm and twisted it behind his back in one fluid, effortless motion. The others froze, caught off guard by how fast it all happened. The guy hit the ground with a grunt, his confidence gone in a second. The leader took a step back, his smirk slipping. But before anything else could unfold, the sound of tires crunching. Gravel cut through the tension. A black SUV rolled up slow, tinted windows hiding the driver. The group turned, their posturing fading into hesitation. This vehicle wasn't local. It didn't belong here. The commander didn't flinch. He recognized the make, the way it moved, the quiet hum of its engine. It was military grade. And that's when he knew this wasn't just some backwoods altercation. Something bigger was happening. The SUV stopped, door opened, and a man stepped out in a dark coat, clean cut, carrying authority without saying a word. His eyes locked onto the commander's with recognition. "You shouldn't have come alone," he said. His voice was even, but there was an edge to it. The group of locals stood in stunned silence, unsure of who this new man was or why he seemed more dangerous than the guy they'd just tried to jump. The commander didn't answer right away. His instincts were firing. If this man was here, then the missing teammate, this wasn't just about a disappearance. This town wasn't just hiding old hate. It was hiding secrets, deadly ones. And now, they were all unraveling. The air between them felt heavier now, as if the entire town was holding its breath. The commander stepped forward, eyes locked on the man from the SUV. "Where is he?" he asked flatly. The man hesitated, then glanced at the group of locals, who were slowly backing away, realizing they were in over their heads. "He's alive," the man finally said, "but not for long if you don't come with me." Before anyone could respond, a second SUV sped into view from the other side of the lot. This one wasn't smooth or silent. It came in fast, reckless. The commander's jaw tightened. Reinforcements or something worse? Gunfire cracked through the night, brief, controlled, not random. The man from the first SUV dove for cover, shouting, "They found us!" The commander pulled the local leader to the ground, shielding him instinctively. Chaos erupted, but through it all he stayed focused. He had trained for this. He lived for moments like this. In less than a minute, the attackers were down or gone. The second SUV skidded to a stop, empty, just a decoy. But the message was clear. Someone didn't want the truth to come out. The commander turned back to the man in the coat, demanding answers. That's when he dropped the twist. Your friend wasn't taken by outsiders. He was working with them. Silence. The betrayal hit hard. The conflict was over, but the story had just changed. Now it wasn't about survival, it was about uncovering how deep the lies went and who else was in on them. The commander stood still, the weight of the revelation sinking in. His friend, someone he trusted with his life, had crossed a line. Maybe it started small, a favor, a deal. But now it had spiraled into something dangerous, something that had nearly gotten innocent people killed. The man in the coat handed over a flash drive. "This has everything. Names, locations, payments. He was part of a pipeline running weapons through this town. That's why he disappeared. He wanted out." The local men, now silent and shaken, didn't know what to say. For the first time, they understood this was bigger than their narrow view of the world. They hadn't just messed with a stranger. They had stumbled into the middle of a deep, covert operation. The commander looked at the one who had stepped forward first, the leader. "Hate makes you blind," he said quietly. "You were used, just like him." The sun began to rise over the horizon, casting a soft light on the gas station. The SUV, doors closed, engines started, and within minutes, the scene was clear. No bodies, no headlines. Just another secret buried deep in a town that liked to keep things quiet. Before leaving, the commander walked into the store, bought a bottle of water, and nodded to the